Hi guys, I am Engineer Pacturanan, and this time ang pag-uusapan na natin is another method of obtaining the root of the function, which is the false position method. Okay? So according to the definition of this method, the false position method, or in Latin that is the regula falsi method, is an improvement of bisection method. So ibig sabihin, parang bisection method lang ito, in-improvise lang. The two methods share similar procedure with the notable exception of obtaining the middle point in the interval. So its graphical representation, as shown in the figure 1.2 in the next slide, shows that the middle point x sub m is the intersection of the line connecting x sub l, f of x sub l, and x sub u, f of x sub u, and the x-axis. To obtain the numerical value of x sub m, consider the equation of the line connecting its endpoint using analytic geometry. So that is this equation. So para mas maintindihan nyo tong equation, balikan natin tong figure. So this is the figure for the false position method. So katulad lang kanina, meron tayong x sub l and meron tayong x sub u. Diba? X sub L and X sub U. Kaya lang, ang pinagkaiba ni false position kay bisection, yung paghahanap ng X sub M. Okay? Hahanapin natin yung X sub M. Ang gagawin mo daw, meron tayong dalawang points. Kung i-imagine ninyo, i-connect mo daw yon sa line segment. Tapos, kung ano yung intersection, tapos, nitong point na to ng x-axis, yun na daw yung x sub m. That is very different. Balikan ko lang yung ating bisection method. In the bisection method, ang paghahanap ng x sub m is simply taking the average of x sub l and x sub u. However, in the false position, wait lang. Ang gagawin natin is ito. Gagawa ka ng line segment kung saan mag-intersect, yun na yun. And syempre, may x sub m tayo. Okay? So, from analytic geometry, kung maalala nyo, di ba? This is the equation of 2 point of a line. Y minus f of x sub u is equal to f sub u minus f of, I think x sub 1 dapat yon, o x sub l. Baguhin ko lang, pasensya na ng pagkakopya. Yan. F of x sub L. Tapos, x minus x sub u all over x sub u minus x sub 1. Parang ano lang to, y minus y sub 1 is equal to mx minus x sub 1. Pero ito yung slope, di ba? Slope siya nung line segment. Kung titingnan nyo, tama naman, itong line segment na to ay may slope na y sub 2 minus y sub 1, f of x sub u minus f of x sub l all over x sub u minus x sub l. Okay? So, substituting y is equal to 0 and x equals x sub m, yun na yung magiging coordinate. So, ito na yung magiging function natin dyan. Tapos, by further simplification, hanapin natin yung magiging bagong formula ng x sub m. Okay? So, that is negative f of x sub u, cross multiplication yan. Tapos, nandito na yung x sub m by distribution. So, another algebraic manipulation. Ulitin ko, tig-distribute lang naman to sa kaliwa. So, you may check this lang naman kung hawak nyo na yung module nyo kasi simple algebraic manipulation lang naman to. So, proceed. Ito na. So, therefore, sa pag-compute ng x sub m, ito lang yung nabago. Ito lang yung gusto kong i-point out. Sa bisection method, ang hinanap lang natin is yung x sub m by taking the average. However, in the false position method, ang hinanap natin sa pag-compute ng x sub m is using now this formula. X sub l times f of x sub u minus x sub u f of x sub l all over f of x sub u minus f of x sub l. So, yun yung major difference. Yun yung kailangan kong ma-emphasize nyo. I hope that is clear. So, this method is usually faster to converge than the bisection method. So, mabilis tong mag-converge, class. However, itong method na to is not an ideal if the initial interval is large. When I say initial interval is large, it means na um, yung difference between x sub L and x sub U is greater than 3. So, say, excuse me lang, 0 to 5, ang interval niya ay 5. 0 to 3, ang interval niya is 3, so okay lang. 0 to 4, ang interval niya ay 4, hindi yun pwede. Okay? So, I hope that is clear. Para mas maintindihan nyo itong lesson natin, magbigay ako ng isang example. So, sorry. Ito yung magiging step-by-step procedure to perform the false position method. No? So, ito yung magiging procedures natin. Una, solve for the values of f of x sub L and f of x sub U. Okay? So, kailangan natin hanapin yung values nitong dalawa. Then, after nyong mahanap ito, ang magiging next step is to determine the value of the middle point, x sub m, that is ito. So, ito yung kade-derive pa lang natin na formula. Determine the value of the middle point, x sub m, using this formula. So, na-discuss ko na yung derivation niya. Next step, solve for the value of x sub m. After nyong ma-solve yung x sub m, babalik ka doon sa pag-choose natin ng bagong interval. So, to choose the new interval for the new iteration, this is just the same lang naman doon sa ating bisection method. Okay? So, for the bisection method and the false position method, ganun din. If f of x sub L and f of x sub m are in opposite sign, iba, parehas nga lang kayo bisection, the new interval will be x sub L and x sub m. However, if x sub m and f of x sub u are in opposite sign, the new interval will be x sub m, x sub u. Bastang tandaan nyo, parehas lang to ni bisection. Okay? So, for step 5, repeat the first 4 step for every new interval until it becomes relatively small and the approximate value of root can be accepted. The tabular presentation of the result of the iteration is helpful. Always provide a tabular presentation kasi magiging mas madali ang solution nyo yan because of that. Okay? So, for example, sagutan natin yung same example natin sa bisection method. So, ito nga yun. Determine the root of 3x to the 4th plus 7x cubed minus 15x squared plus 5x equals 17 between 0 and 2 using the false position method. Perform 7 iterations. Okay? So, ito na yung isosolve natin ngayon. Ulitin ko, parehas lang to sa bisection method. So, solution, the given function nga is f of x equals 3x to the 4th plus 7x cubed minus 15x squared plus 5x minus 17. So, ito yung function natin that is given na. Now, the first iteration, I think ready na tayong mag-perform ng first iteration. So, according sa step 1, hahanapin nyo muna class yung f of x sub L. Diba? Ito yung gagawin muna natin. Solve for the value of x sub L, which is f of 0. Ang gagawin mo lang, just substitute 0 here and you will obtain negative 17. As simple as that, diba? Likewise, f of x sub u, ganun din. F of 2, just substitute 2 in the given function and the sagot is 37. Okay? So, I hope that is clear. Ngayon, ang pinagkaiba nga ni false position method, hahanapin natin yung x sub m using this formula. So, which is x sub L, f of x sub u, minus x sub u, f of x sub L, all over f of x sub u, minus f of x sub L. So, just substitute, f sub L is 0, times f sub u is 37, minus yung x sub u is 2, yung ating f of x sub L is negative 17. divided by 37 minus negative 17. So, ang magiging x sub m natin is 0.62963. Okay? So, ito na yung ating x sub m, 0.62963. So, lastly, hahanapin nyo yung f of x sub m, which is f of 0.62963. Ang sagot natin is negative 17.580. So, ang goal natin is, katulad lang ulit kay bisection method, x sub L is negative, x sub M is negative, x sub U is positive, di ba? Sabi natin, kung saan nag-change of sign yung f of x, yun na yung bagong interval natin. So, yun ang gagamitin natin dahil yung f of 0.62963 and f of 2 are in opposite sign. Ang magiging bagong interval ay yung 0.62963 and 2. I hope okay tayo doon. The tabular presentation is presented here. Yung una natin na sinulat is 0 and 2. Tapos, pinasolve natin yung negative 17 as f of 0 and positive 37 as f of 2. Okay? Tapos, using the formula that I derived, hahanapin natin yung x sub m. So, yun lang yung pinagkaiba sa false position method. And pag nahanap nyo na yung x sub m, hahanapin nyo yung f of x sub m. And after nyo mahanap yung f of x sub m, titingnan nyo kung saan nag-change of sign, negative, 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 positive. So negative, positive, therefore 0.62963 and 2. So, di ba ang tali lang naman ng false position method. So, next tayo for the second iteration. So, second iteration, yun din ang gagamitin natin, 0.62963, then 2. So, yung f of x sub L is equal to f of 0.62963. Again, the process of obtaining this is just substitute. Halos wala tayo ditong problema. Yung f of x sub U, yung f of x sub U natin is f of 2, which is 37. So, ito siya. Ang next na gagamitin is to solve for x sub m. Again, the same formula. Kaya nga ang false position method, paulit-ulit lang naman to na process. So, 0.62963 times 37 minus 2, negative 17.580 over 37 minus negative 17.580. So, ang bagong value ng x sub m is equal to 1.07102. Okay? So, I hope this is clear. Lastly, hanapin nyo yung value ng f of x sub m, which is f of 1.07102, magiging negative 16.304. So, balik ka sa dati. Ano na yung magiging bago mong interval? So, yun lang yung gagamitin mo. Ano na yung magiging bagong interval natin? So, di ba, this is negative. Tapos, yung x sub m is negative. Yung x sub u is positive. So, ibig sabihin, dahil yung f of 1.07102 and f of 2 are in opposite sign, the new interval must be these two. So, wala siyang halos, no? Kumbaga, improvement nga lang to ni bisection method. Kaya kung naintindihan mo yung bisection method, most likely, madali mong magagets itong false position method. Ang pinagkaiba lang is yung x sub m. Okay? So, tabular presentation ulit tayo. 0.62963. Then, 2. Solve natin yung kanyang f of x sub L and f of x sub U. Using the formula, mahanap mo yung x sub m, tapos mahanap mo yung f of x sub m. Ito, negative, 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 positive. Therefore, 1.07102 and 2. And again, uulitin mo yon for the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, hanggang ikapitong iteration. So, for the same process, hindi ko na yun ipapakita yung iteration. Ang ipapakita ko na lang is yung result after 7 iteration. Okay? So, ito na yung magiging result after 7 iteration class. Sa third, 1.07102. Tapos, yung XU is 2. Ang magiging XM is 1.35517. So, yun lang. Then, ito na ang magiging bagong interval For the fourth, ito ang magiging interval. Notice na habang tumatagal, katulad kay bisection method, paliit din ng paliit ang interval natin. So which is yun dapat ang ine-expect nyo. Habang rumarami yung iterations nyo, dapat paliit lang ng paliit ang interval nyo. Okay? Pero before kong isolve yung actual na value of x, kailangan yung matandaan itong point ko ngayon. Sa false position method, may consistency either kay x sub L or kay x sub U. Unlike sa bisection method, sana all may consistency, sabi mo nga. So for this case, yung consistent is yung x sub U. Kung titingnan nyo, simula sa simula, palagi na ang value niya ay 2. So, pwedeng ang opposite mangyari, yung consistent itong x sub L. So, basta yun yung tatandaan nyo sa false position method, pwedeng itong x sub L consistent or x sub U ang consistent. Okay? So, yun yung unique na property ni false position method unlike kay bisection method. So, para ma-solve na natin yung actual na value of x, ang gagamitin natin is yung formula. Take note ang ating last ay 1.58010 and 2. Okay, itong tandaan nyo, ito ang last interval. Una, hindi mo to i-average. Walang averaging sa false position method. So, take note, yung f of x sub L, which is f of 1.58010, is negative 0.234. Kapag sinubstitute nyo to, itong lower limit niya, tapos itong upper limit na 2, pag sinubstitute nyo ay 37. Ang paghahanap ng final value of x is the same lang dun sa paghahanap din ng xm. Use the same formula sa false position method. Kaya ang x sub L is yung 1.58010 times 37 minus 2 tapos negative 0.234 over 37 minus negative 0.234. So, that is 1.58274. So, ito na yung sagot natin, class, using the false position method. Final note, the obtained value of the root using this method is slightly accurate than using the bisection method. Of course, we are expecting this to be a more accurate method kasi nga, this is an improvement of the bisection method. Recall that the value or the accurate value of x for 5 decimal places is 1.58416. Ito yung kapag gumamit ka ng high-powered software. However, this may still be unacceptable for some engineer and scientists, thus further iteration are needed. So, kung feeling mo hindi pa accurate ng husto yung sagot mo, kailangan pa ng mas maraming iteration na i-perform. But nevertheless, I think na i-present ko na yung procedure for the false position method and hoping na naintindihan nyo yung process. So, thank you so much guys and ingat na lang.